the individuals who now adopt this technology and are going to be learning how to use it are going to be using it in ways that these big companies haven't figured out yet. Welcome to the Creative Show podcast. We're going to be talking about the questions on every creative professional's mind. What is the creative industry going to look like in the future? And to discuss this, we'll be talking with my friend and colleague, Anton Smolsky. Welcome.
Hey,
We
hello.
worked in film and animation. He most recently worked at Ubisoft. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So there are some hints that I've observed, and I think you've observed as well, that we could see in the market that is starting to suggest a possible direction the creative industry is headed in this new environment, which involves AI, but not just AI, with the development of new tech at large. There is a pinnacle of technology we've hit that we haven't hit before. You and I are at the age where we started off analog. We just hit like Photoshop 1, and then we rode the wave of that tech industry up until Unreal Engine 5. The power of software have become so big that where things that used to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, now you could do it on your computer. And now AI came into the picture. What I'm suggesting to you is we are at year zero of the starting point of this new paradigm in the creative industry. And creative industry is going through some turmoil now, but we're kind of changing. There's a shift. What are your thoughts about it?
Like you're right, industry entered my professional path in the early 2000s, where I, went to college for 3D animation. That's what my course was called, 3D animation. But we still did 2 years of classical hand-drawn animation, right? So because the 90s was that very extended transitional period where paper was replaced by CG, and I still know people and work with people who were in the industry at that time who had to make that change and continue working and learn new tools. Imagine that. I mean, starting off in paper and pencil industry, doing animation or design or background painting or whatever, and then having to transition to CG and stay relevant and get on with the industry and the new digital tools. And they done it, And some of these people are now facing this transitional moment, and in part it's AI, and I think it's more gonna be AI for the future. At the moment, though, it's a mixed bag, I would say. A lot of the changes that are happening, they're not directly driven by AI. There's a lot of hype, a lot of forecasting for the future, and there's a lot of sort of secondary effects that AI has on the industry, but it hasn't made that all sweeping, all consuming impact that we've been talking about for a couple of years now, at least since the pandemic.
And my impression so far with AI, and I'm looking through Instagram, and people are making content and they're posting it on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and they're advertising their newfound AI skills. The reactions of the audience is very different than what the promoters of the tool would like it to be. I'll tell you an anecdote. I've been experimenting with AI, and I looked at it as just the next tool. An animation company approached me and wanted to talk to me to see if I could do work on this project, this 2D animation project. And I said I would be interested. And then they said, okay, can we look at your demo reel? No problem. But my demo reel is a little bit old. I haven't updated it. Plus the style that they were looking for, I didn't have that type of style in my demo reel. So they asked me, hey, do you have this specific style, like more closely related to this style that you could show us? And it just so happened that I did have an animation project that I did on my own, but I was experimenting with AI. So what I did is I painted stills, and then I animated those stills, and now they're animated. And then I showed that to the studio, and then I got ghosted. And I
Mhm.
was like,
Studios ghost, just like people.
yes, but but
into it.
they let me down easy. But I have the sneaking suspicion that had I just said, look, I definitely could do this for you. I don't have that style, but I can mimic that style. Like, look at my previous work, so on and so forth. Had I not sent them an AI work, because the email said, by any chance, did you use AI with this? And I was like, yeah, I'm just keeping up with the industry, LOL kind of thing, like being
Yeah.
like, don't judge me for it. I thought everyone's gonna be doing like this, right? But the vibe that I got is that they are like, this guy cheats. This guy took shortcuts. We don't want that in our product. Fair enough. But I just found it peculiar because if we would like rewind back 15 years and I say, I don't have that kind of style, but I look at my 3D stuff, this new tool that I'm picking up, that wouldn't be the vibe. Like even if they're like, okay, that's cool. That's not what we're looking for, but that's cool that you're working on it. But the AI gave me a different sense of like I did something wrong. And I was like,
That's
oh,
interesting. I mean, what could that something wrong be? I mean, there is a lot of talk about and litigation about sort of intellectual property, right? That AI is ripping off all these regular artists, but also, these legal persons like Disney, right?
the conclusion that I came to is AI is not just a tool, it's actually a brand. And I have now associated myself with this brand, and that brand is associated with fraud, theft.
Yeah, no, no, no,
So
no. Probably not true. But also think about like if we just get AI out of our mind for a second, because I think AI, it's so hyped up. It takes the entire conversation onto itself. Takes the air out of the room, kind of thing. But there's a lot of things going on. So like if we just think about, I think about, so I'm ex Ubisoft. I'm actively looking for a new role now, and I just look at all the different job postings. And I'm looking across a broad range of positions in animation. I'm an animator first and foremost. This is my wheelhouse, so this is what I'm looking at. But I'm looking at different types of games, double A, triple A. I'm looking at 2D animation. I'm looking at 3D animation, and every studio, every job post has its own peculiarities. It has its own requirements. It uses its own software. It has its, so even if we're talking about specifically about, let's say, cinematic animation for games, one studio will have a very heavy motion capture. You need to be able to work with motion capture. Another VFX studio will need you to work in virtual production pipeline. So real time rendering with Unreal. You're shooting in front of these wall of LED screens. So you need to be able to work with Unreal. Another VFX studio, nothing about VP, nothing about motion capture, but it's all about facial animation. If you don't have this like super realistic facial animation, you're really only gonna look at you. So that's just VFX. And what I'm trying to get across is they have different styles, different pipelines, different requirements. So it could be that they got, in your case, got spooked by AI, and then they never replied. Simple.
no, but the
Automation.
what I the vibe that I'm getting is that well, studios are very conscious of what the audience accepts. Maybe I'm wrong. As I said that, I'm like, are you sure? The commercials that the Coca-Cola made and some other brands made that use completely AI
Yeah.
stuff, they got a negative reception. So I'm
Oh,
sure
from who? From the audience or
the
the?
audience, the audience hated it, and then creative professionals critiqued it. That like some trucks had 6 wheels, the other truck had 4 wheels, so there's inconsistencies
Oh
everywhere. AI slop. So then, if you are a studio who is sort of making a name for themselves for their creative prowess, and then they get caught using AI, they don't want to be associated with that. That's the vibe that I felt in this instance.
I think these AI robber barons, they don't care if it's good publicity or bad publicity. It's all publicity to create hype. So there was a interview with an officer from Anthropic, and she said that, like, yeah, when we threatened to turn off the model, take it offline, it tried to blackmail the engineers.
You write about one experiment where Claude was given training data. In a lab experiment where it was told it was going to be shut down, Claude sometimes, again, the AI blackmailed fictional employees who controlled its shutdown button.
Just publicity.
Exactly.
You want people to be running around saying, "Oh my God, it's gonna, they're creating Skynet," because that will drive investment.
Exactly. But for creative individuals or studios, they are not in the business of promoting AI. They're in the business of creating content that the audience likes. The individuals who now adopt this technology and are going to be learning how to use it are going to be using it in ways that these big companies haven't figured out yet. So they've invented a tool. The tool falls short in many aspects. However, once you learn what the tool falls short on, you accept it. You're like, all right, it's good at this, it's horrible at this. Fine. How can we use the tool as it is? And I'm beginning to see content online that puts the creativity back into the creator's hands, and he just uses AI uniquely in a way that only he can. Like there's a secret sauce that people are beginning to figure out that it's very hard to replicate. Like I said, there's inklings of this could be used for this, and it's not discrediting. It's not Will Smith eating spaghetti.